Well, the championship feeling is sunk in for a few days now. Just your thoughts on how everything ended up for you guys.
Well, obviously, playing in that tournament, it couldn't end up any better than to win the whole thing. I thought our guys responded really well in two very difficult games in Chicago. To win it on the road is challenging. What a great feeling for our guys after that, and maybe even a better feeling when they came back with all the fans here and so forth. It's a step in the right direction, and that's what, as a program we're looking at that experience as is just another step in terms of getting to where we want to get to, but an important one because we had an opportunity to play for a championship and we figured out a way to win it. Now, there's a lot more steps to go. There really is, and we need to stay focused on the things that have gotten us to this point and the progress that we've made as a program and not get distracted or diverted from the path that we're on.
You guys got a lot of guys coming back from this team. I mean, how huge is that for you guys with the progress you're looking to make more next season?
Yeah, it's big. We got a good group of guys that have logged more minutes now for us. We're heading into this year. We had, roughly 20 to 24% back of our scoring and rebounding and so forth. It'll be in the 80s or 90s in the percentage-wise heading into next year. So big difference, but a different challenge, too, that the guys have to face. Now as opposed to, fighting for relevancy, now we're got to handle some expectations, which is always a big challenge. And it's all, the thing is, I said, we don't change in terms of what's important. Our response, no matter what the situation is, our response will determine how well we do things and sticking to the game plan of whether if people think you're good or people think you're bad. The most important thing is every single day you got to keep getting better. And that's a good thing about our program is our core values and the things that are important to us don't change whether you're successful or you're trying to become successful.
Coach, now that the season's over and you look back on it, what do you feel this team's legacy is?
Well, I do think that its greatest trait was its competitiveness and its resiliency. I think there was a fight in that group, and maybe the term to put it all in, we played with a great spirit the whole year, and sometimes that's hard to grasp onto and describe or point to one play or another play to kind of show it. It's kind of a collective thing. But there was a spirit about this group that, one, to start off, we were better than people thought. Two, some guys that may have been overlooked that had a little chip on their shoulder. And three, even within games, the ability to kind of stick together and fight through some challenges and never stop fighting and keep believing that we could win the game. I'm not sure you can quantify that, but you can see it, especially as you take a step back and look at the entire season. It's, one of our early games, I think our second home game, Justin Brown steps up to the free throw line and has to make 2 free throws just to send it into overtime against Austin Peay. Now, Austin Peay won 20-something games, so they were good. But you go from that start all the way to the finish, there was that common, there's a spirit of until that buzzer goes off, we're not stopping. And I think that's a great trait to have.
You talked a little bit about your key players in the past couple of games, especially LaQuincy Rideau and David Collins. How important are they in terms of, fostering that new freshman class coming in?
Yeah, well, I think for the whole program, they've kind of proven to be kind of the heart and soul. And then obviously Lex is only a freshman, but you could probably throw him in there. But those two guys as a backcourt have, special opportunity in front of them heading into next year. The best thing about it, in terms of now sitting down with them meeting-wise, the biggest piece for us during this time of the year and through the summer is player development, getting those guys better, being able to take a step back and figuring out what are some key areas they need to improve on. And those guys obviously have made great strides from last season to this season. Now, you know, the price tag never decreases. You never get a sale on that stuff. There's not 10% off. You got to pay full price, and then when you get to a certain point, you keep paying more to take another step. So I think our guys understand that, and those two guys have to kind of lead the charge in that.
Where will Zach fit into what you guys do next season?
I don't know. It's April, you know what I mean? And there was times where, you know, having more guards would have been useful this year. And, you know, he's a talented player, but hasn't played in 2 years. Mm-hmm. When he plays for us next year, he would not have played in anything significantly for 2 years. You know what I mean? And he's got a ways to go. He's got to keep getting better as well. So that stuff usually works itself out. Obviously, he takes on a different role, just like LaQuincy did. If you would have asked me the same question last year, I wouldn't have been able to tell you on LaQuincy, you know. And not many people at this time last year thought LaQuincy would be sitting at this point he is today last year. You know what I mean? So, but to have, you know, quality guards in college basketball is so important. You know, so we're excited about watching Zach's development over these next 4 months, 5 months. We will make a summer trip at the end of the summer. So that will give all our guys an opportunity, including the 2 freshmen coming in to play as well. So I think that will help us.
You know where you're going?
We're going to Montreal.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So 6 or 7 days at the end of July, first week of August. So it'll be good.
Will you sign anybody this month?
No, we don't have any scholarships available. We're full.
Coach,
We're
how
full.
rewarding was this season for you, working with a group of guys that largely did not play together and then winning a postseason tournament?
When you say that and you take a step back, it's incredible. You know, with 2 players in the rotation from last year that played. Obviously, Nick was a key component for us this year, even though he didn't log the minutes. To play 10 guys, 11 guys eligible to play, and only 3 of those guys even logged any minutes the year before, speaks volumes, I think, for our guys in terms of their, you know, acceptance of trying to learn to play together and the way we play. Staff obviously has done a great job connecting with those guys and selling them on the commitment that it takes to be good as a team. You know, you take a look around at, you know, our team and other teams. It's not always the most talented teams, but those teams that are connected on the court and off the court that usually end up having successful seasons. And our team was no different. But you have to, you know, guys, to be connected, guys have to be committed to each other, you know, and really care for each other. And I know it's fluff and all that stuff, but it's true. It is true, you know. And at the same time, you know, if things aren't going well, they got to be able to be honest with each other enough to say, hey, you ain't doing your job, you know. And I think we got better at that as the year progressed. Guys' defense mechanisms dropped a little bit, and understood how important it was for everybody to be pulling in the same direction.
I want to talk a little bit about the void that seniors are going to leave when they're leaving. How do you guys compensate for that?
Well, it's hard, you know, because TJ played his best basketball for us at the end. You know, what TJ and JB did on Strauss during that championship series was incredible. He played 1 good half in 6 halves against us. But, you know, just those guys' experience and those guys' steadiness, both those guys are steady guys, you know. As again, you can't underestimate the value of Nick in terms of, we talk about, you know, sacrificing and all that. He started almost every game last year as a junior, you know, and although it was tough on him, you couldn't tell every day in practice because he came to practice. He's a better player now than he was last year, and he didn't log nearly as many minutes. And that's the thing that we got to keep selling guys on and so forth. But, you know, with those seniors that are leaving, they started this whole thing up for us, and now it's up to us to continue to build it. You know, and you're talking about a program that had 5 straight 20-loss seasons. You know, like 118 games or 113 games over the last 5 years. So to crawl out from that hole, those seniors deserve a lot of credit. They deserve a lot of credit.
Speaking of that void, personally, over the years, you've developed a relationship with them. How hard is that on you just to see them kind of leave?
It is, in particular, when you realize where we all started. You know, those relationships have to be forged a little faster and they become a little deeper. You know, both Nick and TJ in the next month will walk across that stage in Yingling Center and earn their degree. Both have aspirations, and I think both will be able to go play professional basketball somewhere. And they'll be a part of what we're doing. The one thing is nowadays it's different with the former players. These guys are able to stay connected a lot more than they used to be through Twitter and text messages and Facebook. I don't know if they use Facebook anymore. You know what I mean? That's, oh, you old guys use it. You know, so those guys staying in contact with them, you know, is going to be big as well, because whatever we do as we continue to build, they're going to know they're part of it. So it's good, and all the great programs have guys that are staying connected, and that's one thing that we need to keep getting better at.
Do you plan on staying connected with them?
Oh yeah, those guys know, you know, that they'll be part of this program, and they can come to me at any time. You know what I mean? You know, I have a lot of former players that have needed help, usually financially, that end up coming back and getting it. You know, that's the way it usually goes. But, you know, and we've done a better job even with, you know, with our former players here that I didn't coach, getting back and being more involved in the program, you know. And, you know, again, I think whenever you go through the 5 years that we've had, or however far back you want to go, when you start tasting a little bit of success, it makes it easier on the former players. And, you know, they know that they're welcome here anytime. And we've had a lot come by practices and so forth, and started to see more and more come to games and different things like that. So that's one area that we need to really capitalize on and build back up, having those former players be integral parts of our program.
I had some alumni reach out to me over the past week, really since you won the championship, about, it's been nearly 3 decades since this program had won anything. And if you could talk about, you know, do the players talk about that among themselves and their appreciation of what they've done?
I think our guys do appreciate it, you know. And I think the big thing, again, and I said it when we started playing in this, that it's not the NCAA tournament, and it's not the NIT, all right? Now, as I've said, you know, like the women's basketball coaches are a lot smarter than we are, which doesn't surprise anybody probably, you know, because they have the WNIT and they have 64 teams in it. Our NIT only has 32 teams in it. Their WNIT is run by a private organization like the CBI is. It's not run by the NCAA. And so, you know, for us to play in the CBI is not the same as playing in the NCAA tournament. No one's trying to equate it to that. But we had some unprecedented success this year and some surprising success to some. That doesn't pass our guys by without them noticing. You know what I mean? And then I think the one thing they have a good grasp of is it does not guarantee anything for the future, but it gives us a better starting point. And they understand that, you know, they didn't come here as we move forward to play in the CBI. You know what I mean? And that's no knock on that at all, because the one thing is we can talk about who won that tournament. Just what I said is look at the teams who played in that tournament, not just won it. You know, like I said, Purdue parlayed that to great success down the road. Oregon did. Texas A&M did. Texas did. It's not just the ones that won it. We were fortunate enough to win it, you know. But our guys do understand that, and they they don't take that for granted. You know, to win 24 games and set a school record for most wins. But our guys also understand the context of it and want more, which is, I think, a good thing.
There was a tweet a few days ago from David Collins, and he said NCAA tournament, see you next season. Is that where you guys are headed next season?
Well, I mean, obviously that's, you know, it's something that I think has to be talked about. But again, I think the biggest thing that we've done a good job of heading into year 3 now would be sticking to what we're supposed to be doing. Now, if David gets better every day and the rest of the guys get better every day, is that a legitimate opportunity in front of us? I would say that would be a legitimate opportunity in front of us. If they don't get better, we have no chance. We just don't. This is just a fact. But I think, you know, you also have a vision for where you want to go. But I always say, if your goals and habits don't match, you either got to drop your goals to match your habits or raise your habits to match your goals. So we got to see exactly where we're at with that.
Part of the NCAA tournament, you have to have a decent pre-conference schedule. Is this something you're thinking about for next year, maybe challenging you guys a little bit more?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I mean, it's interesting. You know, our overall strength of schedule was good enough to get into the NCAA tournament. You know, and if we go, against the top 4 teams in our league this year, if we would have went 4-3 or 5-2, we probably would have made the NCAA tournament, even with the non-conference schedule that we played, which wasn't extremely difficult, but you did play two of our guaranteed games for NCAA qualifying teams in Colgate and FDU. You know what I mean? And we played just good enough teams to keep us in the conversation anyways. But at the same time, with the team we have returning, will our non-conference schedule be more challenging? Yes, it will be more challenging. One of the things that's unfortunate that's happening in college basketball now, though, is that the teams from the, whatever that you want to call them, the 5 conferences or whatever, they don't have a lot of room for home and home games in their non-conference. The Big Ten plays 20 conference games now. They all play in an exempt tournament. They all play in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. The Big Ten's also involved with the Gavitt games with the Big East. They ain't playing home and homes. Those days are long gone. They may play one other neutral site game, but those teams don't play, Big Ten and the ACC, they don't play home and homes anymore. Well, why would they? When you can play a neutral site court and so forth. So the scheduling, and now where teams that would have played us because it was a guaranteed win may not want to be playing us anymore. You know what I mean? So scheduling is an art form in terms of, for lack of a better term, manipulating the numbers so at the end of the day, your strength of schedule and your quality wins, however they want to define them, that you have some opportunities there. Now, I would think that, you know, our league schedule, even though we played, you know, out of the top 4 teams, we played them 7 out of the 8 opportunities that you could have. We played. The only team we played once that finished in the top 4 in our league was Cincinnati. So that may also help us and change in terms of who we play, but we'll be much more aggressive with our non-conference scheduling. I know I don't think the field is set yet in terms of the tournament out in Cayman Islands. You know what I mean?
Still think they're trying to get 8 teams.
One more team, I think. But it will be from a power conference, that 8th team will be. So, you know, we're off the books on everybody, though. We don't know anybody any games. So those home and homes that were all scheduled before I got here, those are all done by the grace of God.
So you're not opening at Elon, sorry.
No, and we're not going to App State, Elon, or Stetson.
Coach, for you personally, coming in off of your first season years back, how does that feeling compare to how you're feeling now, just personally?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the future. You know, we got a really good group of guys. You know, you guys deal with them on not a daily basis, but we got no, you know, everybody's got issues because they're 18 to 22-year-olds, you know what I mean? But they work hard, they want to get better, they're respectful kids, they're not void of making mistakes by any means, but at the same time, you know, I know when it's time to get work done, they're going to get to work, you know, and they're driven kids. They are driven kids. So, you know, we're in, like I said, we haven't accomplished anywhere close to what I think we can, but we got a pretty good platform to move forward right now. We really do.
There's a picture circulating around with you holding the trophy, and you've got that replica Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh,
photo,
yeah.
that your wife took, actually. And
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to ask, how has your family kind of kept you grounded throughout the season?
Well, I mean, there's not, my faith and family are the two most important things in my life. They drive me and guide me in everything that I do. You know, I'm very, very fortunate at a young age, at 23 years old, to meet the most wonderful woman in the world. And for her to go through the stuff I put her through, incredible. You know what I mean? And two beautiful daughters, and you know, my faith guides me on all that. First with the family, and then with my job here as a coach. And I don't take any of that stuff lightly. You know, and we wouldn't have had the success if it wasn't for both those. In particular, the first one, you know. But you know, it's if you lose sight of what's important, then you can never have the professional success that you want to have either. It's impossible. And you know, I don't. You know, some coaches are able to do it. I don't know how they do it without having a strong faith and a strong family supporting them and all that. So I'm just very, very fortunate with that. You know, there's no question about that. No question.